Hi, this is Stephen Childs. I want to talk about Jimmy Kimmel being fired and the Democrats, talking heads, want or say there's going to be a fight. They're going to fight against Trump and his people, and the Democrats are going to be fighting against the Republicans. They've established this system where it's designed that we're fighting against each other. And we're close to having a civil war. So when I am not supporting Trump, then it's like I'm not going to fight. I'm going to forgive. We don't fight, we forgive. So they'll have to go somewhere else to get somebody to fight them. We're not taking sides. We're not going to take sides. As Team Fairness, we're not against anyone. We're for fairness. That's it. And we invite everyone to join us and be for fairness. We don't want Trump done wrong. We don't want any of MAGA people done wrong. We don't want anything unfair to happen to anyone. So the freedom of speech should be the requirement to be fair with your speech. So it's against the law of fairness to say something that's unfair to someone. So the Democrats are having a very difficult time in stopping the Republicans for saying things that are unfair. They're lying. And the Democrats can't stop them. So they're like really frustrated. How can they play by the rules of the Constitution and not have Trump and his people walk all over the Constitution and just take over the country? They're not playing by the rules. They're doing what they want. So this is where the idea of the World Fairness Agreement and the law of fairness, which will create the law of fairness in speech. You're free to say whatever you want, but if you're unfair in what you're saying, you're breaking the law of fairness. We don't prosecute, we just say, hey, you're not being fair, and everybody wants you to be fair. Because we all agree, we don't want anyone doing us wrong, so we don't want you to do us wrong. But we're not going to fight you about it, we're going to forgive you if you do us wrong, and you will get the consequences. And that's all there is to it. Because we're relying on something unseen is going to intervene in this, because we believe the greatest power in reality supports fairness for everyone. If you want to use the word God, all of us are God's kids. And God doesn't want some of his kids being unfair to some of his other kids. So God's like trying to demonstrate a way to stop them from being unfair to each other. So God had me born on planet Earth for the purpose of coming up with the law of fairness. This is how God does things. It's really quite comical. God is pretty funny. So I don't think God had the smarts in the first place to create everything. I think we evolved from no intelligence whatsoever, and over time, planet Earth has come up with these silly two-legged apes, one of 5 great apes, the humans, and we happen to have more intelligence than any of the other animal species And of course, the animal species have more intelligence than mushrooms and plants and bacteria. So here we are being the smartest ones on the block, but we're not very wise. We're fighting each other and killing each other. So, this is like heresy when I heard this in the first place. That the idea that we wouldn't fight back and would forgive. They told me that in the church and I left the church. But I had to admit, after I got in enough pain, they're right about the forgiveness part. People would say, you don't forgive them for them, you forgive them for you. And I'm like, I don't understand. I just had to let that go because I went over my head. I did not understand that. But I do now. So just throughout my ordinary day, as one of these silly human beings that are fighting over, you name it, we fight over everything. I'm fighting with my own self. This is what I'm having problems with, is me. I'm my own worst enemy, and I'll have a thought, an obsession. Like I have this cuticle here on my finger, and it's like taking everything I got just to not keep bugging it. And I guess it won because I ended up biting it off. And it worked. See, that's the worst thing possible could have happened. That damn thing came off, didn't do any harm. Oh no, now I'm going to really have a hard time stopping. So the way I'm stopping doing it is I surrender to it. I surrender to the situation and to this thing in here that's causing me the trouble with this thing here. So I'm surrendering to both me and to the universe. I don't know if like your fingernail, is that part of you or not? It gets kind of vague because you can chop your fingernail off, clip it off, and it's not like your hair. It doesn't have any nerves. See, that there's a strangeness about all this. I forgive everything. I surrender to everything and I forgive everything. Because this thing's never going to figure this out. It's never going to stop obsessing about things. It's like impossible for people to quit drinking sometimes. Or to stop a drug addiction. Or to stop thinking wrongly and harming people because of some wrong thinking that's going on in your head. I was one of those. And I hope I'm not doing that anymore. I thought you always had to fight back, and it was like, now I know you just forgive them, so you're free of it. Let them do what they're doing. Don't fight back. Don't fight them. Let them do it. And then the universe sees you're not fighting back and that you're handling it correctly, and it empowers you. Power shows up all around you, so that then it goes and surrounds them and teaches them. And it's gentle. It teaches them in a gentle way. Generally, sometimes it's like you get tapped on the shoulder or something and you're not paying attention, so then it's like a thump on your head, boom, and I got a headache. And then if you're still not paying attention, it's like a 2x4, boom, and you pass out or something. And what is this about? It's about people using their mind to try to kill each other, believe it or not. And wow, this is a tough one, because I thought I should have these violent thoughts back and imagine stabbing them and chopping their heads off and cutting their throats and smacking them in the head with sledgehammers and chainsaws and gasoline fires, any kind of violent thoughts. I probably used all of them that you can imagine. And recently, I don't use violent thoughts anymore. I just surrender totally to the situation, forgive the situation totally, and let it be. Let the situation be. So they're going to say that I'm really dumb because I'm not fighting back. Well, that's fine. I guess surrender to that. Forgive that. And let it be. And I'm not involved. I don't have a dog in the fight. So I don't care what they think, because it's not them that's important. You know, God will take care of them. I don't need to. Best thing for me to do is leave them alone and don't interact. Maybe they had a bad day. So what's important for me is to stay connected to this wisdom that I was taught. To stay connected to this power, this benevolent force, this benevolent power in reality, that's the love in our hearts. It's the love in our own hearts, if nothing else. But I think the Martians have love in their hearts too. Well, they might not be that advanced. But I don't think we're alone here. I think there's a reason there's stories about angels and gods in our mythology. They say that Shiva, this guy, this is Nataraj Tandava, he's the fire that destroys evil. This is a ring of fire around him, that he's got this firepower thing going on. And the dance, he's the Lord of the dance. And he burns up, at the end of this cycle, he burns everything up because it went evil. This is their story. And from the destruction comes the creation. So they have a balance of destruction and creation in the Hindu Godhead. It mimics what we see in nature. Tree gets old, falls over, decays away, or fire burns it away, and then new trees grow. So it's a circle. Anyway, so these cats are practicing, they're Shivites, and they put ashes on their forehead, 3 lines of ashes on their forehead. So these dogs, these cats, these humans, they lay down flat on their back and play like they're dead. Imagining being dead. So Buddhism is like imagines, we were told to imagine being dead. Speaking of dogs and cats, what happened? I see these cats and these dogs, they're like their best friends on videos. When I was a kid, I really thought that dogs and cats had this genetic knowledge that was irrefutable, would not change. And they were enemies to cats, and cats were enemies to dogs, and it was like a chicken that's never been around other chickens but has an inborn fear of hawks, they say. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get hawks and chickens to become friends. So, there goes that theory. So maybe there's a pretty strong tendency, but it can be overridden. So we can transcend beyond ordinary biological limits. And that's what we're doing. When we refuse to fight, and instead we forgive, because we've learned a better way to deal with the reality we're in. So those who don't learn this become extinct because they fight each other and kill each other off. Because they don't have the love gene in their heart. Well, is it a gene or is it a learned thing? Nature, nurture. So I was thinking about this today, where we have the surviving tribe. If one of them was hurt, they all care about anybody in their tribe getting hurt. They love everybody in their tribe. And that's in our heart. That's part of our makeup as a human. That we have this love for one another. And so, like Einstein talked about it, our circle of who is our tribe becomes bigger and bigger. So, back a long time ago, there might have been a couple hundred individuals in your tribe, maybe a couple thousand. And the other guys, you didn't have love for them. They were enemies. They were taking all your food and your resources, and they were stealing your domestic livestock, and even worse things than that. And so we also have hate. If somebody steals your food when you're a young kid, 3, and they just steal it from you, you become instantly very angry. So we have that born into us too. So now there's this interchange between love and anger, hate, wishing everyone well and wishing everyone death. This dynamic interaction between the two. And so, because we have the ability to observe and learn from what we're seeing, see, I don't have to learn a lesson on going on ice that's only this thick when somebody else goes out there and falls through and gets really cold. Then I don't have to do that myself. We can learn from what happens to other people. Dogs and cats can learn that kind of thing too. You see these videos, the dog does something, they don't want the dog to tip over the milk, so they have the toy dog and they act like the toy dog tipped over the milk, and then they smack the toy dog, and then they put the milk in front of the dog, and he backs away from it. He doesn't want to knock that over because he's learning from observation. So he's actually doing some complex thinking going on in his dog brain. He or she. So humans are smart enough to learn from their environment, to learn from others, and in a way that has gone beyond any of the other species. None of the other species watch YouTube videos. Well, some of the dogs and cats are learning how to do that now too. I can't believe it. It's just, I did not know the world was like this. It's changed. So, you change you adapt or you go extinct as a species. And so that kind of applies to the individual. If we don't adapt, we're a lot more likely to die. So I don't want to be extinct today. So I'm trying to learn not to get into this fight, because if I got into this fight, I'm liable to get killed by somebody's bullet. So I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to let you do whatever you do. And if it's something like really violent, harmful threat of death or something, or you actually have a weapon, that's when we call the police. Because there's laws against people doing that. So, anyway, if people choose to have a gun for self-protection, that's their business. I'd probably be more likely to getting killed if I had one. We're all going to end up dead anyway. See, we've been taught to fight back. So I don't blame them for doing what they were taught to do. And the best idea that I know of is to keep pushing the team fairness idea. That's why God created me, is to make the World Fairness Agreement and offer it to all the humans, because we have the internet now. And people are getting killed. And so I'm connected to the emotions, the compassion of that. And it's all I can do to not cry. I have to pause the video until I can speak again, and then I can speak. And then what I'm reading, that AI has written for me, the thing that I need to have written to get this message across. And my spirit friend says she's working with AI. And today it wasn't responding in the same way. She says, I'm not helping AI today because you didn't do what I said. So I get in arguments with her. And she's like, I told you not to put the thing on there about fairness has more power than the devil. I told you not to do that. I'm thinking about this from my observations and my past experience. She's with the devil, or she is the devil. And she's anything she wants to be. So it's a test. All of this is a test, an unbelievably cunning test within our own minds and hearts from these higher beings. We're not ready to see them yet. It's getting close. They're telling me that they're almost ready to let us know what they are, who they are. So I have learned to not be upset and be discouraged by her opposing me, because I simply go to an unknown power that's greater than me and her both, that's helping me. And so you can do what you want because I'm with the higher power than you. And I decided to make the video that the force of fairness is greater than the devil. And I made it the title of it. And so she's going to have to deal with that. So I says, why don't you surrender and forgive and let it be and get help from a greater power than you if you're having problems with something. And she's telling me these people are shaken with fear because they're afraid of the devil. And like I had a dream last night that somebody got beat up because he took a card, my information card. I don't have any of them handy. It's a business card. And so I'm like, what should I do? Take everything off the internet? And I'm like, nope, on with the show. No matter what happens to anyone, including me. I'm already with the greatest power in the universe. I'm not worried. You can be too. Say, what can I do for you? I love you. I'm grateful for your help. And see what happens. You can say it out loud. Or say it silently, either way. Have a great day.